Welcome to Evolving Educators. My name is Donda Sladen. I'm a campus administrator in New Caney ISD, and I'm joined by Chris Hurst. Chris, how's it going?
It's going great, Donda. I'm glad to be back on another episode.
Yes, great to be here. We today have a good topic, Chris. It just talks about the joy of leadership. You know, sometimes this is, well, certainly it's a lonely job at the top, lonely job. And so how do you keep that spark, that joy, that, because you need that for your campus, for your other leaders. How do you keep the joy of leadership going? And so today we're going to be joined by Crystal Mace. She is the campus principal at White Oak Middle School, and she has a wide range of leadership experiences. She's been at 4 campuses, and so in New Caney ISD.
Oh, wow.
And so, yes, she has been an assistant principal here, a principal, but a leader on 4 different campuses. And so she just has a wide range of experiences to speak from that platform of joy in leadership, because sometimes it's difficult days come, Chris.
Sure, of course.
So we look forward to hearing from her.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more about Miss Mays and how she's keeping her joy over at White Oak.
Outstanding. Welcome back. Chris, we are here to talk about the joy of leadership. And so, Miss Mays, let's just talk about what initially drew you to leadership.
Well, thanks for having me today, Donda. One of the things that really drew me to leadership was when a principal poured into me. And so as a teacher, she said, I see something in you. She said, you have this little fun, spunky attitude. And she said, why don't I put you in charge of this culminating activity for social studies? And she said, I'm going to give you, it's a grant that our school has currently been offered. I'm going to give you all the tools, the training, and I want you to just make it happen. And at first I was like, you believe in me? I only have a couple of years teaching. And she said, yes, I do. And so with that, I really rallied together all of my teachers and the community, the students and the staff. And it ended up being like so much fun to just have this responsibility. And I realized I could make a greater impact beyond my classroom. And I just thank her so much for seeing that spark in me. And so I find that I want to see that same spark in other people.
You know, that's really a great story, because it reminds me of really what we're doing with the Leadership Academy. I mean, we are all pouring in to future leaders, and we are looking for, the next person to step up, Chris. And it's always nice when you have someone. I think of that really, and Ms. Mays and I have talked about this, it's really our responsibility to be looking for that next leader and to pour into them, because that's pretty much my story too, Crystal. Someone saw something in me and gave me some responsibilities. I like what you said though, that someone put you in charge of something. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like they just gave you very narrow parameters. Did they just say, we got a grant and let you go?
Yes. And now kind of looking back, I see that in the role now, they probably were like, please help us. We're inundated.
Yes.
Take care of this for me. But I did it because I felt very honored. I felt empowered.
Yes.
And I really feel that is the true meaning of leadership, is when you can empower others.
Oh, I agree. And so what I hear you saying is they not only give you an important job to do, but they just, according to the grant, right? But they pretty much let you have creative freedom, and also believed enough in your leadership skills that you would do the right thing and roll that out effectively and to represent the campus well.
Yes.
So I love that in leadership, when I'm able to give someone, I know that's where even I get my own joy, is when I'm able to pass something off to an aspiring leader and let them see, and I'm able to sit back and see how they create and what their thought processes are. And that says a lot about the person coming up, and it helps you see what kind of leader they're going to grow into, don't you think?
Yes, exactly. And that's the beauty I love, even as something as mundane as sometimes we make T-tests or T-pests. Having our teachers set those goals and see how they really own them and take them on and execute them, because they have the creative freedom to do that. and see sometimes they surpass what our narrow scope that we thought was going to happen. And so, I mean, the same is true when we hire new teachers. You know, I can tell on the first day when they walk in at the new teacher luncheon, the parameters in which they're going to go, the trajectory, because you can tell when they're enthusiastic, when they're excited, when they're on fire, their passion is lit. And that you just see them grow and they accept and willingly want to encourage the feedback.
Absolutely. And so for an aspiring leader, I guess you could have as easily went to your principal and asked if there was something you could do, but certainly as an aspiring leader, what advice would you have if they're really wanting to make something their own or do something on the campus? What advice would you have for them?
I think that it really goes back to knowing your people. So one of the things that I love to see is like, you know, Donda, you're outspoken, you're an extrovert, you love to take care of things. And so I want to give you something where I feel like you're going to be successful, you know, whereas I might have other aspiring leaders that maybe they're gifts or in another way. So I think it's really important that the leader knows the aspiring administrator and sees their unique gifts so that you can give them in an area of directions. So
I love that. And really what you're saying is knowing your people so that you can lead through strengths-based leadership.
Yes.
So as the principal, it's really important to, when we say know your people, what does that look like? Well, it means knowing their strengths.
Exactly.
Yes. And you can assign those, like when the social study grant pops up, you know exactly who to go to. How do you go about knowing your people in that way, Miss Mays?
Well, I think it comes down to the very beginning whenever you're first hiring someone is kind of getting a commonality on their resume, knowing that they're more than just, you know, a Bachelor of Science and reading. You know, oh, you volunteered at this church, you were in this club in college. So I think it starts from that background. Also, too, as an aspiring administrator and you're coming in and you're maybe coming into a campus, important to sit down with each person and just say, why are you doing what you're doing? Why did you select, you know, reading or social studies, math, or CTE in order to teach? Because there's always a reason why someone selected that.
Well, just like you and I both just said, and Chris, I'm sure you've had these influences as well, to that someone saw something in you. Mm-hmm. And then there was a gap that needed filled, right, Crystal?
Yes.
Just like you were saying, they probably saw right away how creative you are. And so in social studies, we know is similar to ELA in those respects. And so you were able to just pick that right up.
Yes.
So I love that. There are things I've even done in the past, like start surveys and things like that. You know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Those types of things. So for the aspiring leader, when they are interviewing even for teacher jobs or for media specialist or instructional specialist jobs, an important thing for them to do would be to make sure to tell their leader what their goals are, right? So that then I know I should be looking for things for them to do, right?
Right. And because, you know, there's so many different facets in education, from operations to, you know, checking off a box if you're GT certified or not, that you want to be able to put them on the right seat on the bus, you know, because they're going to have more joy and accountability and success if they have the skill set in order to oversee that area.
Absolutely. And I feel like we're under more obligation than ever, Crystal, to find those places for people so we can keep them in education, right?
Right.
We want them to stay around longer than that 3 to 5 year range, right? And I feel like certainly when we lead through strengths-based leadership and knowing our people and assigning them to things we know that will fill their bucket, that will keep them with high job satisfaction and keep them around, especially in New Caney ISD where we already have terrific people.
Exactly.
Right. Yes. So, you know, leadership is demanding. So how do you keep that joy? How do you balance the job, but yet staying connected? You know, some self-care, I guess you could think, but how do you balance that? Because days are hard. There are great days and good days, right? And so how do you capitalize on those joyous moments?
I have something I say every day on the announcements.
Okay.
It says, don't let anyone steal your joy.
I love that.
I'm not just saying that for my students or my staff, because there can be a student that makes the wrong choice or a colleague that maybe you don't see eye to eye with, but I also say it for myself. And so one of the things that gives me joy is just kind of also anticipating that things are going to also not be a rose-colored glasses. So the week before a holiday or a super full moon, kids are going to be a little bit more excited and rambunctious than they already are. But planning and preparing your team and really having a fun on any kind of aspect that you can turn it. Joy is a choice. So,
I love that.
That you have to choose to just let it go, let it be what it's going to be, knowing that you're doing everything you can to try to do the right thing.
Yes. So with that, I find, that's hard. The leadership is lonely. Mm-hmm. So do you have is there anyone particularly for the aspiring leaders that they should have around them, maybe a team? How important is your team?
Oh my goodness, I could not make it without my team. So I think that they're your core. They're your compass. They are there to see you through it to the end. And it goes back to the beginning of the summer when you're building your instructional leadership team, that we have a common goal and a common purpose, and that we balance each other out. I look for people that have gifts that I don't have, and that we can really align together. So it goes back to that. It goes back to every week starting with celebrations at our ILT meeting. What is something great that happened last week? What is something that you noticed in one another? And even if it's just, we made it through the week, we've got to find those small moments and small gains to celebrate.
That really speaks to me, because when I didn't understand really the importance of leading with good news. And so when we have our principal meetings and we have those exit tickets, all of those things have really taught me a lot. Mm-hmm. And I would never now have a staff meeting or any kind of a gathering with my team without first saying, what good news do you have? That has really changed my thought about how to lead a meeting. I'm very task oriented, task focused. And so I usually just jump right in and get to work. And that's not good.
Well, Donda, I think that's okay. We all are task oriented. The list gets longer and longer every week, but I think people want to be acknowledged. They want to be affirmed. They want to know that they're valued and supported and they matter.
Yes. That's important. Job satisfaction, everything depends on that. And so I have really been committed to that process. Crystal, you'd be proud of me.
Oh, I'm so proud of you every day.
Every meeting, I make sure and start with good news. And your campus is so joyful. You have great decorations, great quotes. The walls of White Oak are just a joy to be around. And I can see right away that you're a person, I could tell right away the leader at this building wants people to be happy and wants them to be there. I think that's really important, that people want to be there, and we need to add to that.
Right, that is important. And I'm a firm believer in your space also creates that environment. So I think I want to set up stuff, not just have a plate of cookies for my teachers. I want to have, the whole 9 yards and be it thematic. Maybe it's the little bit of elementary in me, but I also feel like people, just are like, wow, you cared enough, because that's what I want to see when I walk into a classroom, that they've taken the time to set up their space for their students for intentional learning.
I think that's so important. And Chris, it goes back, our district, we have very nice things here, Chris.
Sure.
We have nice buildings. Mm-hmm. All of our spaces are so nice and warm and welcoming.
Definitely.
But it also goes back to, Crystal, I know this is Leadership 101. I know you've heard of this. If you take care of the small things, then the rest of the things will fall into place. And so, I think it's very important that you take the cookies out of the package and put them on a platter for your people, because it's those little things that are really going to bring joy and grow your relationships and all the things at the campus.
Right.
So let's just talk about what are some things we always tell our aspiring leaders: you need to be reading, you need to be growing, you need to be making sure that you're ready to take that next step. And so what are some books or podcasts or resources or things you like to read?
Well, actually, an oldie but a goodie that I've loved forever is Dave Ramsey, and it has nothing to do with finances. I know he's the financial guru, but he has a podcast called The Entree Leadership, and he has the top executives of their leadership. He has John Maxwell, John Gordon, all of the great Johns. So that's some of the things that I would highly recommend that he talks about in leadership. I love Stephanie McConnell of the Principles.
Yes, I do. I love her.
Yes, and she just has a plethora of ideas. She was just this, for our aspiring administrators who don't know, she's this National Blue Ribbon school principal, and just creates unique things for leaders and just wants to really focus on your vision, mission, data, and the morale of your campus.
She does have great ideas for culture and climate as well. I'll add those two to our list. And so we have a list for aspiring administrators of things they should be reading and listening to. And I'll make sure and add that when I update the list. I love that. So just to leave us at the end here, Miss Mays, what legacy do you hope to leave behind as a principal? So when, your time is done being an educator, as someday, I hope not soon, but someday surely will for both of us. So what legacy do you hope to leave, and how does that fuel your joy?
I hope, it is a legacy that we're just going to, that every teacher, every student said, you know what, Miss Mays believed in me. She supported me. She valued me. She gave me the resources that I needed in order to be successful. And that she did it with joy and that with kindness, that I can lay my head down at night and know that I did everything that I could to make our students successful and for them to truly feel that they mattered.
I love that.
Super impactful.
I love it. It's amazing. So thank you so much for coming, Crystal. It was a joy to talk to you in the joy of leadership.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, we were so happy to have you on. We're going to take a quick break, but afterwards we're going to answer some listener questions. Would you like to stay for that part?
Sure.
Okay, well,
awesome.
We'll be back with everybody after the break. All right, we're back from our break and we're ready for our exit ticket section. Today's question, we're going to go ahead and start with you, Miss Mays, if you don't mind. How do you keep things running when you're called off campus?
Oh, that's a great question. You know what? You have to just build trust in your people, and also just have enough systems in place. And with the preparation that starts in the summertime and on, that, you're going to entrust and empower them to make the very best decisions and think, how are we responding to this the way that my principal would like, that is the best thing, and that they can lay their head down at night and defend, I've done this.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Is there anything you'd like to add, Dr. Sladen?
Well, one of the things really that starts with, Crystal, I know you'll agree with me, is your core values.
Yes.
And so what are your core values? What is your mission of the school? Is this right for kids? Just asking yourself all those things. And also when something does come up, we could always respond with, let me get back with you on that.
Exactly.
That's
good one.
That's a good one. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. We really enjoyed learning from you, and hopefully all of our listeners can find a little bit of joy from listening to this.
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
Don't
Ms.
let anyone
Mays.
steal your joy.
That's right.